Hi there, Focus owners. Today in our 2014 Ford Focus, we're going to be taking a look at and showing you how to install Roadmaster's InvisiBrake supplemental braking system. Your braking system is one of 5 main components you'll need when flat towing your vehicle. In addition to your braking system, you're also going to need your tow bar, which is going to provide the connection between your motorhome and your vehicle. You'll also need your base plate, which gives you the connection point for your tow bar on your vehicle. Your safety cables, which is a supplementary connection between the two. And your diode wiring, which takes all the lighting signals from your motorhome, transfers them to your vehicle so they can be displayed on the lights at the back of the vehicle so everybody around you knows your intentions. And this is what our braking system looks like when it's installed. We've placed it underneath our passenger seat. And what's nice about this braking system is that it is a one-time installation. Once you've installed the components, it's always on your vehicle ready to go. You never have to worry about it ever again. There is an adjustment knob here on your InvisiBrake where you can adjust the amount of brake pressure for your towed vehicle. Simply turn the knob clockwise or counterclockwise to make that adjustment. This is a proportional braking system that will apply the brake on your vehicle when you hit the brakes in the motorhome. It uses inertia sensors as well as the lighting signals from your motorhome to make the appropriate determination on when to apply the pedal and how hard to apply it. The box that we saw in the passenger seat has an actuating cylinder that remotely connects to the pulley here behind our pedal. That's one of the things that sets us apart from other permanently mounted braking systems, is that it has a remotely mounted actuating cylinder. Instead of being mounted on the brake pedal itself, it's mounted elsewhere in the car, and then a smaller pulley is mounted near the pedal, which gives it a nicer appearance, and it's also a little bit less cumbersome. The chances of your foot hitting any of these components when braking is greatly minimized versus those other systems. The remotely mounted actuator here has an air line that comes from our operating unit, and when the unit decides that it is time to brake, it will charge up the cylinder here, which will pull our cable, which is then attached to our brake pedal, which wraps around that pulley and pulls it with a nice, smooth, and fluid motion. As an additional safety feature, a breakaway switch is included with your braking system, so in the event of a catastrophic disconnect, the breakaway switch pin would get pulled, and this would apply the brakes inside your vehicle to help it come to a safe stop. And for peace of mind, there's a monitor light that's installed inside your motorhome so you can see whenever the brakes are being activated in the towed vehicle. And since this is tied directly to a brake switch, the only way this light can illuminate is if the pedal in the towed vehicle is actually being depressed. Not everybody knows you need a braking system, but in most states it is required. So now with your braking system installed, you can not only feel safe for you and your family when driving your vehicle, but you'll know that you're legal in most states. Beyond the fact that it's required in most states, I'll give you an example of why a braking system is really important. It's particularly important on heavy incline and decline areas, especially when you're going down large steep hills for long periods of time. When doing so, if you didn't have a braking system, the weight of this vehicle is pushing on the back of your motorhome, and your motorhome's brakes is doing all the work to help you come to a safe stop and go slowly down the hill. This could potentially overheat the brakes on your motorhome, which could result in brake performance loss, and the hotter it gets, the more performance you're going to lose as you go down that hill. With the braking system installed, it's going to take all that load off of your motorhome's brakes by providing brakes using the brakes that's already existing on your vehicle. This way you can ensure that you're going to go down that hill nice and smooth and easy without having any brake fade. Now, I'm not going to lie with you, it is quite a bit of an involved install, but if you follow along with us and follow the instructions that come with your kit, it really does go pretty smoothly. It is going to be a little bit of a longer process, so you want to make sure that you've got some time down for your vehicle, because it may take you a day or two to get it installed. We'll begin our installation by mounting our major components. The first one you want to mount is your control box. The control box we mounted underneath our passenger seat. This is going to be the location that's going to give you the most room at the back of the vehicle for your feet to go. On the driver's side, it's depending on the options you have on your Focus, it may not fit under that seat. On ours, we have power seats on our driver's side, and the module wouldn't fit. The module mounts by cutting slits in the carpet and then just sliding the ears on the side into those slits. To help you get it installed easier, you can bend the ears so they're straight down with the side of your box here. Slip them into the slits and then just push down on the box, and that'll fold them back out and help lock it in place. Next, we'll mount our actuating cylinder. This we mounted underneath the driver's seat due to the lower clearance that we had over here. And we mounted this in a similar fashion by cutting a couple slits in the carpet and then using a zip tie to tie it in place. Next, you'll want to mount your pulley. This is attached to the actuating cylinder. We routed this underneath the carpet up towards the front, and then we positioned it behind the brake pedal where we used the included self-tapping screws to just run it right into the floor there. You will need to use a razor knife to cut out some of the padding underneath the carpet, and then a small section of the carpet to expose the pulley so that way it's not covered up. And then lastly, we mounted our breakaway switch to the bracket location on our base plate. Roadmaster's EZ5 base plate already provided a place for your breakaway switch to go. So we used the included hardware that came with our braking system to just mount it up to that bracket. Next, we started running all of our wires and hoses from our control box to their appropriate location. You'll have two harnesses. You have one here with a red and black wire coming out of it, and there's also a sheathed double wire that has a connector on the end coming out of this as well. Further there on the very end, you'll have your 4 wires, your yellow, green, white, and brown that need to tap into your diode system. And then here we have 2 hoses. We have one vacuum line that's going to be a larger diameter that's going to tap into our vacuum system on our vehicle, and then we have a smaller vacuum line that's going to route to our actuating cylinder. The smaller vacuum line we routed towards our actuating cylinder by just poking it around the center console, and then it simply just plugs in. It's a quick connect, so it'll just poke right into this end, and then it just pokes right in to your actuating cylinder's end. The rest of our wires here we had to route outside the vehicle, so we went underneath the carpet. Right here is our vent underneath our passenger seat. There's already a slit in the carpet for that vent, so we can just poke our wires into that slit that already exists there and then run them towards the front to where we're going to go to our grommet that's going to access the outside, where we'll hook up the rest of our connections. Here you can see the small hose going into our actuating cylinder. The rest of our wiring came out of our carpet here at the front passenger kick panel area, and then it goes up behind our glove box. If you open up your glove box, there is a small access hole. You won't be able to see through this hole, but you can put your hand back there and there is a grommet located behind it. I'll show you in the engine compartment where the grommet is and where the wires poke through. You'll find your access hole to get to the grommet on the inside of the vehicle inside your glove box. Just open the door, and then on the right side here you'll find a hole. You can't see the grommet, but you can feel it with your hand. You'll find your grommet underneath the hood, against the firewall on the passenger side. You'll have some AC lines just directly in front of it. All of our wires are going to poke out there, and we're going to run them across over towards the driver's side. We just zip tied it along the way. There are some small holes that go across your firewall that you can zip tie all of your wiring to. We want to go up over towards our battery. Once you get to your battery, you're going to have a split. Some of your wires are going to go on towards the front, and some are going to connect right here. We'll go ahead and start with those. Now, in order to properly tow your Focus, you do have to disconnect the battery when you're in tow mode. So our customer opted for a battery disconnect switch, so they don't have to disconnect the battery. They can just press a button and it removes it. And this is really the best option because you need to have a way to have your braking system powered up all the time. So if you were to take the cable off, you'd be removing power. You'd have to have a separate source for you to be able to get that on. Using this, we can hook our power wire, which is the red wire that we routed up here, and we connected that to the always hot side of our battery disconnect switch. And then we took the black wire and we just ran it over to ground. The harness that had the yellow, green, brown, and white wires, we tapped those right into our diode wiring. So this is our existing diode wiring here. You can see that we now have double wires on one side because that is our braking system wiring that we just spliced right in to that diode wiring. You'll just want to color match each one, and then the white one, make sure that it hooks to ground. We use heat shrink butt connectors, which don't come in your kit, but you can pick those up here at eTrailer.com. They'll ensure that you have a longer lasting connection by sealing off, preventing any moisture from getting inside. The jacketed wire that we routed out that had the pre-attached connector on it goes up towards our breakaway switch. So we just routed that down the side of our battery, underneath our headlight, behind our bumper, and then routed it over to our breakaway switch where we just plugged it into the connector coming out of the back of the switch. We then took the airline hose that we routed to our engine compartment, and we needed to tap that into our vacuum system from the brake booster. So just coming off of our brake booster next to the master cylinder here, you're going to have part of that factory vacuum line running up here. It's a hard plastic. We went ahead and snipped it right there next to the master cylinder, and we inserted a T in line between where we made that incision. The T is just going to complete the connection so that way it is back to how it should be. We then placed a check valve in on the engine side of our T, so towards the engine, and we made sure that the black side of that check valve was also facing towards the engine. The vacuum line that we routed up then goes to the third leg coming off the T and plugs into it so it can provide vacuum to that system when the braking system activates. Another component that you're going to need to complete your installation is a stoplight switch. Our stoplight switch here will provide us with a signal even when our battery disconnect is disconnected. We need this for our monitor wire that runs to our RV. So once you've got your stoplight switch installed, you'll take the monitor harness that comes in your kit. It's just a black wire with a bullet connector on the end. We'll attach one side to our brake light switch. The other side of our brake light switch is hooked to battery positive that's powered all the time. We'll run that monitor wire across through here over to the passenger side, and then we're going to run it out the same grommet that we ran the rest of our wires out. Then we'll run that wire to the front near our breakaway switch and 6-pole connector, so that way it can make the connection to the motorhome for that monitor light. Here's that bullet connector end. This is what needs to be routed outside, and we just routed ours to the front here, so it's right next to our 6-way connector. Here we are on our motorhome side where we had to take a similar wire. This is going to be the longer one that comes in your kit though, and we routed that up towards the front. The male end that you see here is the connector that just goes between your motorhome and your vehicle. So this is going to be a short wire that has 2 male ends on it. The ones with the female ends is the ones that we install in the vehicle. The longer cord is going to be for our motorhome, and this is very similar. We just attach it here, route it underneath the motorhome all the way front, and that's going to route into the vehicle, and then you're going to drill a hole and put your LED indicator there. One end is going to connect to the wire we ran up. It's going to be the red wire off your LED, and the white wire is going to go to ground. In addition to your LED, you also have an audio board. You're going to put those on the exact same circuit. So the red wire is going to connect to that same wire coming up, and the white wire is going to go to ground. Down here you can see our connections. Here's our black wire that we routed from the back. We used a butt connector and we spliced it to the red wire from our LED, which is here, and the red wire from our audio board, which is here. And then both the white wire from the audio board and the LED would then go to ground. Once you've got it all hooked up, when you press the brake in your motorhome, you'll know it's working if the LED indicator comes on here. This indicates that the braking system in the vehicle has just applied the brake. And that completes our installation of Roadmaster's InvisiBrake supplemental braking system on your 2014 Ford Focus.